Okay, I'm going to share screen again, and I have some questions. Okay, so we're looking at the preliminary fire access plan, and I would like to understand why you made the choice to create a choke point at the entrance to Evulich Court.
So it's just a design feature that we like and we incorporate into many of our projects for several reasons. One of the benefits of that design is it creates a shorter distance for the crosswalk across that area. So many jurisdictions ask for us to reduce the distance where pedestrians walk. So we have incorporated that into many of our projects. The other part of it is I think it does add a benefit to the project by providing landscaping as an entry feature. The core requirement for fire is 20 feet wide. That's the width that they need. There's a turning radius and the width that they need. This design fully complies with that. There's nothing in this design that is an exception to what the fire department asks for. So those are the reasonings that we winded up doing. And the landscape is part of the C3 that does stormwater treatment, which is a benefit of all the new projects that gets incorporated.
Okay,
so that's the gist of it.
Thank you. So as a typical section would look like what you see on Linda Vista Drive, where you have the curb, parkway, and then the sidewalk. If the concern is for pedestrian movement, you could put bollards there, but I actually at this location wouldn't suggest it, and I don't think that there is enough foot traffic here to warrant this justification that you're describing. What it does do is it gives the impression as though that this were a private street, and that also shows up in your vesting tentative map, and I do have a question about this. So your vesting tentative, note 21, says that all on-site streets are to be private and privately maintained. And then your circulation plan shows that this will be a private walkway on-site. The purple dots. So this is not your private street. This is a public street, and I feel as though you're trying to create kind of a gateway there. And I don't think the city has to accept your plan for this. This is not something that is a requirement to do it this way. We can reverse have the parkway be adjacent to the curb for the rest of the street and take care of the bioretention requirements in that manner, which would be in keeping with our typical sections for the street, and I've turned that in as well. When I'm looking at this, we're going to move on to the tentative map. Well, actually, I do have one more question on this design because I do think it's really odd. You have a bulbed hammerhead, not a thing. So a cul-de-sac is a dead-end street, and then you have a hammerhead, and they're two different things. And now you've made this weird hybrid so that if I live on A Street, am I supposed to be curving around the cul-de-sac and then hooking up to A Street and having my rear tire hit your pointed curb there because you didn't make a smooth curve in order to make that maneuver? And were you thinking, well, maybe you can squeeze in a few illegally parked cars on the red curb in the cul-de-sac area because cars are going to be going straight through there. So what you don't see on this plan is that on the north and south side of Evulich Court, there are 5 parking spaces. So you do see this 20-foot mark, but what you're missing is that there will be parked cars along here. Mm-hmm. And then if I lived in this neighborhood and I saw that rolled up curb, I could very well see people, you can fit probably 1, 2, maybe 3 cars illegally on that rolled up curb.
Illegally, it will be painted red, but you're talking about someone illegally parking. People can park illegally anywhere. What I would say is the hammerhead is the same design that this council looked at for our Stevens Creek project. That hammerhead is a approved turnaround for fire. The cul-de-sac detail is also an approved design that we've used on many communities.
If it's alone as a cul-de-sac, a dead end, this is something different. This is a hybrid. So I'm just saying, I think this is really, really bad and confusing design for people. Do a hammerhead with a turn, or do a cul-de-sac, but you can't access A Street. So I think you should have done, what you should have here is a proper hammerhead with a curve to A Street to the north and the south. That would be much less confusing for the residents here. I think this is unnecessary, and it's unhelpful. If you truly intended to, and actually you might have actually been able to squeeze in some more parking that was legitimately placed there before you got to the turn. So I don't know why you would do this. So and even at the front, and if you got rid of the bioretention as you're showing here, you could probably squeeze in a parking spot on the north and south, and then over here west of B Street between B and A, it looks like you could probably have gotten at least one more parking space. Why would we mention this? Because there's no on-site guest parking on the actual site, so they're using the city's right-of-way for this. And giving the impression that it's a completely private development, as though you own Evulich Court when it's a public road. So also the visuals of that, it's not welcoming to the rest of the neighborhood because they do own this land. We've owned it since 1969. Okay. So that's all I have with that. I don't see any further hands raised, and we really do need to get to public comment. So, Madam City Clerk, do we have anyone that would care to speak on this matter?
Mayor,
Yes.
perhaps we should extend the meeting before we go into public comment.
Okay.
We need to extend it
suggested.
with the acknowledgement that we have the hearing on the petitions for reconsideration.
That we must get to as well.
Correct.
Okay, so do I need to give a time, an actual time, or just say we're going to extend the meeting until we have completed the entire agenda, no matter how late that is?
You could say that.
Okay, so moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, will you please conduct the vote? So you'll be using your panel. We're all in person.
Thank you for the reminder. Moore moved and Wong seconded. Start vote. The motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. So we will, because of the hour and the combined Mary reconsiderations, we'll be having 2 minutes per individual comment card. And with that requirement, how long will public comment likely take?
So right now, Mayor, we have, I believe, 15 requests to speak in person, including 5 groups. And at this time, I see 4 hands raised virtually. So
5 groups at,
depending on the number of speakers in their group, but typically a group with 5 would get 10 minutes. So 2 minutes per person for a group up to 5 people, so up to 10 minutes. So we have some groups that have 3, 4, or 5 people.
okay, so a group of 5 will get 8 minutes total. And then we've got 2 minutes per individual. And then
Okay.
try to work that math. How long is that? So 15 groups at 8. That's, oh, 5 groups of 8. Okay. 40 on that. Sorry. And then how many individuals? 15?
We have
30.
10 individuals so far in person, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hands raised. So that's 17 individual speakers times that by 2 minutes,
Hour and 14 minutes.
plus the 5 groups of 8.
Okay, I hope it holds at that. So about an hour and 15, 14 minutes plus walking time. Yes, so if you could call the individuals in groups of 3 and they would be lined up, I think that would help
Yes, Mayor.
speed things up. Thank you.